kick in here, as these situations usually indicate. If you've been following us in the first hour on Trento Vision, we have taken our show schedule that we prepare every day. We were going to be dealing with issues, let's see, Sharia Islam, not for human consumption. We definitely got to do that another time. And then we have Ryan Morrow coming in a little later. We may or may not bring that in. Maybe we will. And then we have some great stuff about President Obama and Susie Rice and Benghazi beans. Susie Rice and Benghazi beans. But right now, what's that, CJ, right there?
The color.
Kenny?
Yeah.
Volanda.
No, it's Volanda.
Okay.
not Rolanda.
Right now, as you may know, but you may not know, because I didn't know until I walked into the studio about 2:30. I was watching the news earlier today. In fact, when the news broke that in Newtown, Connecticut, how far? Let's get a geographic sense.
Newtown? I have her address right here.
Yeah, it's just across the New York State border, about a little bit past, like you go to New York and in New York
How
State.
far from Hartford?
About, I'm guessing about an hour and a half, 2 hours from Hartford. It's on the east side of Connecticut, towards the coastline.
To the coast, okay.
But not on the. I mean, it's way away from the coast, but it's almost due north of New York City.
Okay. Newtown, Connecticut, a little boutique town. I think, CJ, you said at one point, what about Newtown, Connecticut?
Oh, it was rated one of the safest place to live in America. And
Yeah,
I'm
it's a
looking up
sleepy
to
little
see.
thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out what year that was.
All right, Newtown, Connecticut, the
Once
town that-
safest place in America to live.
town that would prefer not to be in the news right now, was at one point, they're showing pictures of some of the people who have been shot, previous pictures, obviously. Newtown was at one point declared one of the safest towns in the United States of America, and that's by typically the FBI statistics for crime and violent crime. But these sort of events that occurred today, a mass killing, these don't get factored in or are so rare, though they seem to be happening more often in the United States. This is very reminiscent of Dylan, and I forget his name, the companion to Dylan at Columbine in 96, I think that was. It was April 15th. They were celebrating, April 19th. They were celebrating the...
April 20th.
I think it was the 19th, wasn't it?
No,
Is it
the 20th, April 20th, 1999.
99. They were looking at Waco, Texas. Part of it was a response to Waco, Texas. It's Volanda, right? Yeah. And hang on, Volanda, we're going to get to you. But we got new people just getting in, and they don't know what we're talking about yet, so I'm trying to let them understand that we are covering the breaking news out of Newtown, Connecticut, where, and everything we're saying, we are reading from a variety of sources. We're distilling the information and giving it to you. In the fog of these sort of crimes, facts get changed around. So bear with us if we update something a little later. But a young guy, somewhere between 20 and 26, we've seen 3 different ages for him, Ryan Lanza, Lanza, from Hoboken, New Jersey, which isn't that far from New York. It's right across the Hudson River. He walked into, now it's 24, seems to be the best age for him. He walked into...
No, I have it confirmed on one of his mom's websites.
Okay, so Ryan Lanza, 24, walked into the Sandy Hook Elementary School. Elementary school, don't lose sight of that. At 9:41 this morning East Coast time, he had 2 handguns and a rifle. I don't know if you've been around elementary schools in the United States lately. There's all kinds of security. I mean, there's guards, there's people standing around, there's watching, there's locked doors. How do you walk into a building with 2 handguns and a rifle? I guess it's cold weather up there, right now.
Yeah, oh yes.
So he had a big coat on, probably had it under his coat. But he got in. He was dressed in camouflage, it seems to be saying. In any event, he walked into a classroom. He killed 18 little kids. The state police have not indicated their ages. Our analysis is they're going to be kindergarten, first, second grade, somewhere in there. His mother was a school teacher in the same classroom. He killed the children, killed his mother. We do not know the order of that. Yes, Ryan Lanza shot his mother in front of, either before or after he shot 18 children in the class.
Between 5 and 10 years old.
Killed 18, between 5 and 10 is the
No,
report.
except for he shot more than 18 children. Initially, there were 18 found dead in the classroom, but 2 children were taken to the hospital and later declared dead.
So we have 20
So we have
children.
20 children
Then somehow 6 adults. There were 2
who
rooms.
must have been trying to help.
Probably
the kids.
trying to help or bring people out. You could imagine the extreme chaos of the situation. Killed 6 adults, then killed himself for a total of 27. But before he killed anybody, the reports are he killed his father. What's his father's name, Mike?
Peter.
Peter Lanza, and his mother is
Nancy.
Nancy Lanza.
There's actually a hero story emerging out of this whole event.
Well, hold the hero story, because
You're
that's
bringing-
going to be a little bit of good news, maybe.
You're right.
Do you want me to read that?
Well, let's get
I'll try to
let's get Yolanda Volanda.
Volanda,
First. Let's
yeah.
get her and get her thoughts on this. She's a good caller at Trento Vision. Hi, Volanda. On a very difficult day. How are you? What are your thoughts?
My first question, Tom, when I heard this, because believe it or not, I'm just hearing about it now, and I just heard about it from your show. My first thoughts were, what kind of psychotropic drugs is this guy on? Whether they're legal or illegal, because to me, the nature of this crime to me spells something either he was on, or he has been taken over time that warped his brain to do something like this. Now, of course, there are other catalysts and everything else. But my question is, when they do the autopsy, it's going to be interesting to know, was he on any drugs from childhood? Was he on any, has he been doing any illegal drugs? What kind of substance was he taking? What was his outlook when he did what he did today? Because the whole thing to me smacks of someone who either is on antidepressants, someone who is taking some serious psychotropic drugs. To me, and I don't know about what you guys are thinking, but I would love to know the history on this.
Yolanda, unfortunately,
Volanda.
unfortunately,
This is Mark.
Mark
Yeah.
Campbell is typically in these type of cases, and this is the pattern. You have to look at the pattern, and you know, you would think like what you're saying is actually what would occur, but in most cases, they're not on some type of psychotropic drugs. They're not on these things. What usually happens, this comes down to something very dysfunctional that's happened in the family at one point.
I agree.
And
I agree with too.
Also, typically in these types of cases, the person who commits the act typically is a amoral person who has absolutely no morality whatsoever. It's not like they just don't care. They typically don't care. It's almost like the Bertie Madoff "they don't care" type of amoral personality, where they don't care what they do to other people. People are just objects, and they don't have any compassion or feeling for anyone. And that's typically the Jeffrey Dahmer type of profile, where they just don't care. And it's something that typically goes back to, actually there's something that just clicks off in their brain that's just not there with you and me.
Well, I can't say I hope that's the case, because you hope this thing never happened.
Right.
But I would love to know, what was going on, because that's something to not just only murder your father.
Yeah,
But
it goes
local
way past
classroom.
drugs. It goes way past drugs. This is something deep psychologically wrong with this man.
I'm gonna. This is Tom Valanda. How are you? I'm going to say that there are some medications involved. I'm taking a guess based upon a couple of things, and a psychotropic, possibly, whether or not they were used for this event. I don't think that's he didn't take drugs and then go nuts to do this.
It sounds like
But
premeditated. It sounds very premeditated.
This is planned. In 48 hours, we will know everything that can be known about this kid, because he was prominent on Facebook. He's got a lot of friends. This is not a secret killing somewhere in a corner. This was planned out. He had to buy the weapons. He had to buy the ammunition. He had to buy the clothes. All of that is of record somewhere, some capacity. If he killed his father, there's a crime scene there. If he killed his father, there's going to be records of counseling, family counseling, or fights, or arrests.
Right.
Or he may have been on, antidepressants. I think there is going to be some some use of drugs in his life to control his behavior. He's listed as an artist on one of his Facebook pages, and artists usually have a little different feel in life. They're very emotional in many respects.
This
And
doesn't sound like an emotional. This sounds like a very disassociated person, not someone who is like.
no, I think he, Dylan, and what was Dylan, the other guy's names?
The guy with
Columbine
the
shooters.
Well, how I thought about the Batman.
Harris, I think.
Dylan and
Eric
Harris.
Harris.
Yes, Dylan and Harris and Columbine.
Harris.
They had gotten quite involved in video games and all of that stuff and shooting outside, but they thought everything through. They
Right.
were they had made a decision, and they lost their moral underpinnings for sure. They made a decision to kill as many people as they can, and they had the propane tanks that never went off. So, and it was an emotional decision because they didn't like how they were treated in that school. So
Weren't they also on hordes of Paxil as well?
I don't remember. I got involved with that a little bit, but I don't remember if they were.
I heard their drug was Paxil, the drug of choice.
But
That was
because
one-
this is so big, and this kid had so many friends, right now every one of his friends, because somebody got his friends off of Facebook.
Yeah.
All the news agencies are tracking them down. You'll see reports starting tonight. Oh, he didn't get along with his parents, and they fought all the time.
Oh,
and,
they got divorced, and
Yeah.
it was a mess.
Yep,
and
yep.
Why
kill the kids?
We're going to hear 1,000,001 reasons why this guy had to do this, or why he. There's always going to be some other reason or cause for his
Right.
dysfunction, but it really has to all stem back to him. I mean, he's the one who pulled the trigger.
He's the,
You know, if you want to look at Paxil, if you want to look at guns, if you want to look at whatever, it all kind of has that same, philosophy.
What was his objective? I mean, let's assume that he had some cognitive rationality. I mean, you have to drive there. You have to systematically look to see where you're going to shoot. You got to get yourself in. You got to load the guns, and all of this stuff takes capability.
To develop a psychological profile on this person is a wild guess at best. And
No, that wasn't my question. My question was going to be, what was his objective? And then he says, I will do this, then I'm going to kill myself.
Right.
What was that all about?
But
Yeah.
typically, I don't think that the intent is to go in and kill himself. Is after he sees the carnage and death he's done, there might be some a level of remorse that happens, and he decides to kill himself.
Hey guys, did I hear you say the president weighed in on this? The president
Yes.
of the United States.
Yes, he did. We did not see it, but one of the callers said that he was very adamant about this will never happen again. There's not going to be a mass killing like this. I'm going to do something about it. I don't care if it's political or
really?
not. Yeah, the indication was guns. He's going to do something about guns. And this is the evil nature of individuals, as Mark is saying. This is what this comes down
Yeah.
to. Because I was reading the chat line on one of the Hartford Current, and they had a gun debate going on.
Right.
And somebody said, "Look, if it wasn't a gun, it'd be a knife." You know.
Well,
you slice-
That's right.
I'm looking at another blog and I'm reading somebody's comment here related to this. The comment is, guns aren't the problem, people are the problem. 10,839 people in the United States were killed in drunk driving crashes last year, and yet we still allow people to drive around freely and buy cars, even though automobiles are the deadliest weapons imaginable. Anybody can get a driver's license and get behind the wheel. If they abolish the Second Amendment, who will be left with guns? Criminals. And then you're left without any way to protect yourself. I guess you could try running them over with your car.
And we have 1 million laws against drunk driving.
Yeah.
So
And
10,000
don't
people.
forget, this where the shooting happened was in a gun-free zone.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
I mean-
what I've heard.
And that's the thing is,
All
if
schools are
somebody
gun-free
who
zones.
had been licensed to carry a gun had been close by, as in somebody on the school property, somebody could have shot this kid before he finished.
Yep.
Shot this guy before he killed 20 kids and 6 adults.
Yeah, that's always one of the arguments. I think the immediate there's no solution when somebody
Teachers in
wants
the
to kill people.
classrooms in Texas, a lot of them are, they just arm themselves.
Maybe we're in a new world
They're
now.
announcing that it's probably Adam Lanza, his brother, that did the shooting. He was carrying his brother's ID. So Ryan Lanza is with his girlfriend and friends somewhere.
Oh, so they've got the names wrong, huh?
Let Mike. This may be some. Who's announcing that, Mike?
That was actually a federal agency. That was also on Fox. And who else?
All right, listen to this. Let me get everybody up to date. It's 23 minutes after 4 o'clock. You're on the Trento Vision Show. We're not doing our regular show of making life difficult for President Obama or the Islamic Jihad. We're analyzing a breaking news story in Newtown, Connecticut, where a shooter, now the name may be changing, as I said at the top of this show, the fog of these sort of events gets clarified a bit. That's why law enforcement doesn't jump right away, but news people want to jump and provide facts.
Yeah, breaking news sources.
We have been reporting that the shooter is Ryan Lanza, but we have breaking news now that it may not be Ryan Lanza, but his brother. The ID may have been switched. Mike, tell us about that.
No, I'm just reading everywhere that they're saying his brother is actually in custody in Hoboken, speaking to Ryan.
Go, guys.
Hey. Who's speaking to the Hoboken Police Department, and they're basically confirming that Adam Lanza, 20 years old, reportedly shot his mother, teacher, dead and targeted the kindergarten class at Sandy Hook Elementary School.
Oh, interesting twist here. Now, so Adam Lanza, now where's this coming from?
This is coming from, what is it? PolicyMike.com, but this is literally...
It's out on the wires now.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
just on
Yeah.
Fox
All right.
and everywhere.
Here on WNN 1470, Tom
you-
Trento, CJ, Mike, Mark. We got Volanda on the line. We have been reporting for the past hour, as has all the news outlets, that the shooter is, I think the New York Times came up with the name, Ryan Lanza, 24. It now looks like the shooter was not Ryan Lanza, though the shooter had the identification of Ryan Lanza on his person. The shooter was actually Ryan's brother, Adam Lanza, 20 years old. He took his brother's ID for some reason. Maybe you have to purchase a gun or something at 21 years old. Maybe he just purchased all this stuff today. Who knows? But Adam Lanza seems to be the shooter now. This could change as more and more information comes out, but Ryan Lanza is in custody.
Ryan Lanza is speaking with
He's speaking with the police, but he's not considered a suspect.
Yeah.
Okay, if he's not considered a suspect at this point, well, that all that means is the clock for due process hasn't started. Once he's considered a suspect, then a clock starts for due process in American jurisprudence, and sometimes law enforcement needs more time to do investigation before they say, oh, you're now a suspect, and then the clock starts. So that doesn't mean that much at this point. But if it holds true that he is not a suspect, then the story is going to come out very, very quickly because they can't hold him. They can investigate him, interview him. That's it. They'll let him go, and he's going to make a statement somewhere.
Talking,
he's going to make a statement somewhere. So now we have a 20-year-old, a younger guy that took his brother's ID. What is all this meaning? Anybody got any insight into this now? Yolanda, any idea what's going on?
I don't know. I read one
think we lost
report
it.
that he was
Actually, I have a-
developmentally disabled.
We actually have a hero.
We got a hero story. You heard that Adam was developmentally. Oh boy, this would make sense. This fits Yolanda's theory in a different category that there was impairment.
And also, if it is the younger brother and he is sick,
Developmentally impaired.
developmentally impaired, and the brother is with the police. I mean, the brother could have been in protective custody.
Yep.
If it was known that that the younger
It
brother
looks like
was,
he took his ID to I don't know if we can check the laws in Connecticut on buying guns, but he had pistols.
you probably
so,
have to be 21 to buy guns, don't you? In any of the states?
Well, we can find that out pretty quickly. That would make sense for Adam taking his brother's ID, but that would also indicate that the purchase occurred today, because the brother's going to, where's my license? Where's my ID? All right. Well, all these issues surround a very devastating and sad tragedy just 11 days before Christmas. That's 28 minutes past 4 o'clock on the East Coast. My name is Tom Trento, your host for Trento Vision. Our show deals with national security issues, but today it's imperative to cover a very sad, very devastating tragedy in Newtown, Connecticut, not far from Hartford and New York City. Little boutique, sleepy town that people actually move to because of the quality of their schools. But there seems to be, at least right now, at least one report of heroic activity. Mark, what do you have to give us a little ray of hope here?
Do you have your Kleenex handy, Mark?
Sorry,
Your heroic report.
Mike. Yeah, there was a teacher who was with this in this school, and her name was Caitlin Roig, R-O-I-G, and she barricaded her first grade students in the classroom and bathroom and locked down the door when she first heard the gunshots. She says the kids were being so good. They asked, can we see if anyone's out there? I just want Christmas. I don't want to die. I just want to have Christmas, I said. You're going to have Christmas and Hanukkah. I tried to be positive.
Okay, while Mark's sorting that out there, we're going to get the full story in a minute. To get everybody up to speed here, a gunman, Adam Lanza, New York Times has just changed the gunman from Ryan to Adam, killed 20 children, the ages
Kindergarten kids.
between 5 and 10. I mean, that is just, if you actually stop and think about that, it would be. I'm staying on the top of it. I'm just gliding over it.
Yeah, these kids are, they're thinking about Santa Claus,
Yeah, the Christmas trees are up, and
They're-
sure. Newtown, Connecticut is 65 miles northeast of New York City. The gunman, Adam Lanza, for those of you just joining us, you may or may not have heard this, a devastating tragedy a mass killing of children, 20 children between the ages of 5 and 10 years old. If you have any children of your own, if you have a niece or a nephew, if you have cousins that are that age, just envision them for a moment, and envision the horrible situation that occurred at 9:41 East Coast time this morning in a classroom. Kids were in the middle of studying math or history or taking a break. Everyone was excited about the Christmas season, getting ready, talking to their friends, discussing vacations, and all of a sudden someone busts into the classroom, and probably most of these kids never saw or heard a gun in their life. They were 5 years old, and or a maniac shooter in the room, and we pray that that the horrible situation occurred very, very quickly. The shootings. We know 2 of them were not killed immediately. 18 were killed immediately. 2 were rushed to the, I think, Danbury Hospital, and then they died subsequently. 5 and 10, between 5 and 10 years old. The teacher was killed. Teacher happened to be the shooter's mother. Not happened to be. This was by design. Obviously, the shooter who had earlier in the day killed his father, Nicholas Lanza, wanted to kill his mother, Nancy Lanza. This sounds so bizarre, because it is, and because it's so bizarre, there will be a lot of information, but I don't know if that information brings any more peace or comfort to such a disturbing situation. Suppose tomorrow we know everything there is to know about this. How does that change anything?
I don't think it does. That's why I asked you when you were saying, did he kill his mother first and then kill the kids, or did he make his mother watch him kill the kids? I said, well, what difference does that make to the parents?
Who cares? 20, kids are dead.
20 little kids.
That's just...
when a bus overturns and little kids die, you're in shock.
There's randomness, and then it's a randomness of a different kind.
Yep. And when somebody, by the volition of their will, by a desire to go and kill people, what is this information? So what does all this mean? I mean, what we here at Trento Vision, on our national security work, we're providing information, analysis, and then application to enable everyone to live to live in a difficult world where national security concerns are vitally important. We make applications so that you can learn something, change your behavior, and be safer in many respects. But in this situation, where we are trying to manage just a tsunami of information coming into our computers in a very emotional situation, what are the points of application?
Well, you know what? What's interesting to me is the reaction. We're all having this reaction here. We study killings and shootings and mass murder all over the world every single day.
Us, in our work.
We do,
yes.
in our work.
Yes.
Okay, we study it in the United States and how to prevent it.
Yeah, good
We
point.
study it in Israel. We study terrorism all over the world. And we talk about it, and we're pretty dispassionate about it sometimes, and sometimes we're even telling jokes while we're doing it. And there's something about this that is so as crazy as it sounds, there's a reason why those things happen. There's a reason that we can make sense out of. We follow the behavior. Okay, the ideology determines the behavior.
Yes.
And we can make sense out of that, and we can connect the dots, and we can say, identify the ideology, go after the ideologues, and you will decrease the
Right.
behavior and you will decrease the collateral damage, and you need to defend yourself from this. But you cannot defend yourself against this type of random violence. You cannot be prepared for it. You don't always know who in your midst is the one who's just going to say, okay, today's the day. I've been preparing for this for 6 months, a year, whatever it is. I set off all the warning signs. Everybody should have known I was going to do it. Nobody paid attention. And today I'm going to go kill my parents, and I'm going to go to school, and I'm going to kill these kids. I'm going to kill myself, and they'll find my notebooks, my papers, my drawings, my cartoons, and everything else later. That'll be later. Okay? But how do you make sense for yourself, for your family, if you're related to this directly? How do you make sense?
And along those lines, at this time of the year, and this applies any time of the year, Mike, check Adam Lanza Facebook.
Everything's down with them.
Everything?
Yeah.
And at this time, what I'm going to say makes sense any time of the year if this were to happen, but more in particular because the Jewish world is lighting the 6th, I think. Is it the 6th candle tonight? I think it's the 6th. 6th or 7th.
Yeah.
And the recognition of Hanukkah is a miracle of God's provision and providence in the Hebrew nation, where the Maccabee family found purified oil that still existed after the desecration of the temple, and everything was destroyed. But they found this little pot of oil, and it was purified. It had to be purified oil to be used in the menorah, but there was only enough for one day, and filled the menorah, and it lasted for 8 days. So, as
the 7th.
7th, yeah,
Yeah.
Today's the 7th lighting.
I lose track. I mean, I am lighting them, and I'm trying to think.
What
Oh, did
number?
I get it
Yeah.
wrong yesterday?
But as Jewish people, even Christian people, see the importance and the lessons of the Maccabee family, the provision and providence of God. So, in a special way, Jewish people are drawing more closer to Hashem, to God, these times. Certainly for Christians, this whole time right now is the preparation and recognition for the Christian Messiah, Jesus, his birth. It really wasn't December 25th, but that's a whole nother show. But it's identified on that day, and it's a time of great joy and celebration. Well, up against both of these miracle moments, Hanukkah and Christmas, you've got to ask the question: how can a good God allow 20 children to be slaughtered in such a brutal, vile, and horrendous way? If there is a God, and in my work as an activist, as a Christian, I've spoken to many people who don't believe as I do, and one of the reasons is they point to situations like today, and they said, "Where's your God?"
Yeah.
You had 20 kids that needed your God, and he wasn't there. It's a big question. Where was God today? If anybody has the answer for that question.
How many kids didn't get killed today?
Where was God on 9:41 a.m. East Coast time in Newtown, Connecticut at the Sandy Hook Elementary School? How come God allowed someone to kill 20 innocent little children, 6 adults, and then one other before that event? If you got any insight or any help with that question, how could a good God allow a tragedy of this magnitude? 888-565-1470. 888-565-1470. certainly the relatives, the parents, the brothers. Can you imagine? And we know we're going to hear this story that that one of the deceased children, one of the 7-year-olds, their 10-year-old sister was sick today and didn't go to school. Can you imagine the life? Can you imagine that 10-year-old, and I'm sure with 20 kids, somebody's brother didn't go to school. Some kid didn't go to school today that normally would have been there and been in that class. Can you imagine what's going through the mind of that kid? I mean, where was God today in Newtown, Connecticut?
I remember this I remember this on 9/11. Of all the people who's, where I knew somebody who was supposed to be on one of the planes, or where people, people who said, for some reason they didn't go to work that day, or they were late getting to work that day, and then they ended up, of course, not going to work that day, if they worked at the World Trade Center.
Can you imagine the opposite? Can you imagine the mother that one of the kids was sort of borderline with a cold, and the mother said, "You're going to school today. Just go to school. Everything will be fine. You're fine," and sent their son or daughter to school?
No, I don't
You know that happened.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a good chance. So, what am I saying? I'm saying that there's such deep
Oh, we do have a caller.
emotional and spiritual issues that it's legitimate to say, where was God on December 14th, 2012 in Newtown, Connecticut?
Well, let's hear from Raquel. Raquel, are you with us?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, yes. It's so sad, really. I have 2 toddlers myself, but where was God? As a Christian, I think he was right there, and he was just watching watching over them, but watching the other people make, because he gave us all free agency, so he can't take it back. He just had to watch and see them make the wrong choice, and I don't know. But I know he still exists. He's still with us all.
Yeah, that's what I can't disagree with you. That's why Tom said, where was God when 20 children were being killed, and I said, how many children weren't killed?
Yeah.
You know.
I know.
Rochelle, this is Tom. When did you find out about all of this?
Maybe after 2, when I got home after picking up my son from VPK.
How old is your son?
I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old.
Oh my gosh.
I know. We have a function to attend, and I feel guilty about going. Like, I just, it's just sad, But he still exists. He's still right here with us. And I know it's hard to say this to anybody who's, but he's here, and he very much loves all of us. But he gave us the free agency, and he can't take that back because he wouldn't be God.
Yeah, you make a very good point,
That is
Rochelle.
a very powerful point.
Well, hug your kids a little harder and kiss them a little more, and say a prayer for the parents that are struggling today in Connecticut and all Americans, really, in many respects. Hey, thanks for giving us a call, okay?
Thank you, Raquel. Take care of yourself.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. I don't know how many crying people I'm going to be able to handle here.
I think we're gonna have the 4:45 update.
Let's get that up, Mark.
From the police. Yeah, he's got that up there.
Fox, was it? All right, Tom Trento,
ABC.
4:45 on Trento Vision. We're covering the Newtown massacre, and right now, Mark, what do we have?
We just have some. We're going to have a report here soon from the police department and from the governor. I think they were reporting on having him, but I'll keep monitoring it, and we'll let you know when we go live with it.
Okay, let me get everybody up to speed. It's Friday afternoon, December 14th. 4:46 p.m. on the East Coast, and as much as we're inundated with the news, there's still many people around that have not heard what's going on. I only found out an hour and a half ago. I knew about the shooting when I left earlier today, but they had not reported on the massacre. Something's going on, Mark.
Mark,
You want to bring it on?
you got Ryan Morrow on there, and okay.
We're probably not gonna take Ryan today. We're gonna. You know what? Is Ryan with us? No.
No,
Okay.
and there's a box on top of my head again.
Can we get that picture up? Let's get that picture up. Full screen. Is that the report? Yeah, let's get it. On the radio side, we're bringing you a live report from one of the news. It's a press conference from one of the news agents, ABC. No audio yet.
In most workplace violence and in many campus violence situations, the idea that people snap is just not true. There's a lot of mythology about that.
Yeah.
Because the police reports in the aftermath of the tragedy turns out that a lot of employees or a lot of students or a lot of administrators
I got two audio feeds.
Go ahead. There's something coming on the back. Go ahead.
Do what?
Go ahead.
Okay. All right, we're sorting out. We're covering live right now, folks, the horrendous massacre that occurred about 1,200 miles north of where we are in Boca Raton, Florida, in a little sleepy town known as Newtown, Connecticut, 65 miles northeast of Manhattan,
Why
New
do you
York
have a
City.
picture on my head? Why does he do that?
You got CJ's head covered there. What do we have? So we're handling several different sources. CJ's looking material up. Mike is. Mark is. We're trying to bring you the latest information. We're also trying to contact people that we know live in the area to get information. And what we have so far, and we're going to go to a couple of callers in a second here. What we have so far at 4:49 on Friday afternoon is one of the most unimaginable tragedies you can think of. A shooter walks into an elementary school. The children ages 5 to 10, and the shooter takes out 2 handguns, a rifle. We don't know in what sequence the guns were used, but the kids were shot, a whole bunch of kids. 18 died on the scene immediately. 2 were rushed to a hospital. They subsequently died. The shooter subsequently killed 6 adults in the Sandy Hook Elementary School. One of the adults, the teacher of the elementary class, whether it was kindergarten or first grade, the teacher was, who was the teacher?
The shooter's mother.
The shooter's mother. Shooter's name has been modified from Ryan Lanza to Adam Lanza.
Yeah.
Apparently, Adam, 20 years old, took his brother's identification, Ryan Lanza's identification, 24 years old. And we don't know. We're surmising he did it maybe to purchase the guns. But this is the kind of stuff we prefer not to report on, but we're going to bring you whatever we can. And who do we have on the line? We have Mort on the line?
We have Mort on the line, but before we get to Mort, I just want to, thank Raquel again, if she's still listening, for calling in, because that was a really powerful message that she had to answer your question, where was God? And she brought it back to free will, and what we talk about all the time, we're really talking about free will. And so you're going to have to do a couple of theology shows for us, I think. Maybe you and one of the rabbis or something. I think that would be a very powerful show to have. But I would like to hear from Mort also. And hi, Mort. And sorry to be talking about this subject with you today.
I understand from I've heard Tom say that the shooter was known to be an artist, and in his 20s, and obviously he had lost his curiosity about people, places, and things as artists are always interested in. And it looks as if he had given up on everything, including himself. His sense of self-worth must have been totally destroyed. This is not the way an artist expresses himself, and I guess he wasn't satisfied that he was able to express himself in any other way, either artistically, through his artwork, or through writing, or through communication, and no way he could express himself seemed to satisfy him. And this was his way out. I don't know anything at all about the case of the shooter, but it sounded to me as if drugs will rear their ugly head somewhere along this reporting. That's about it from.
Yeah, that's another one of our callers asked about that.
It looks like, Mort, the fog of massacres, where the information could change dramatically, did. And the New York Times originally identified the shooter as Ryan Lanza. We immediately went to Ryan Lanza's Facebook page, and we had it for about 5 minutes, and then it was taken down. And on the Facebook pages and subsequent pages people were putting up, they identified Ryan Lanza as an artist, thus our comments. But now it looks like the New York Times changed their reporting, and you know, the New York Times is as useless as a political commentary newspaper that it is. They still have an amazing network of investigative reporters that have contacts that go back 100 years.
Yeah.
So
they have a long line and in-depth misreporting.
Yes, but I mean, in terms of getting information very quickly, a lot of people in law enforcement give it to them and then get it out. So when the body was found, the identification on the body was Ryan Lanza, 24 years old. So the New York Times broke that very, very quickly. And then, as it turns out now, Ryan Lanza is in police custody being interviewed. Where was he being interviewed, Mike?
In Hoboken.
In Hoboken, New Jersey, Frank Sinatra's hometown.
Yeah.
So Ryan Lanza said, wait a minute. You know, my brother took my ID.
Yeah.
It's not me. So Ryan apparently is the artist. The brother, though, I don't know if you heard it, CJ had mentioned earlier that there was some developmental disability with the brother, CJ?
Yeah, that's what that's all it was just identified that Ryan had a younger brother, Adam, 20 years old, who was developmentally disabled, and that's all I could find on it, and that was before Adam was identified as indeed being the shooter. So.
But Mort, the question we had on the before us, particularly in this time of Hanukkah and Christmas, you know, where is God in Newtown, Connecticut? How does a good God let 20 little kids get mowed down like that?
I obviously don't have the answer for that, and as usual, whatever I come up with is fairly facetious. I just would like to see the New York Times shut down during emergencies like this, because they just are a fountain of misinformation. And the other entity. You
got about 10 seconds more, and I got to take a break. I didn't even see the clock here.
It's okay. The other entity that should be shut down totally is the U.S. government. We don't need the president jumping in and telling us.
Okay, we're with you on that. We're with you on that. Let's have a every 2-year legislature. But right now, we'll be right back, folks. We're covering the Newtown massacre.
Thanks for tuning in to Trento Vision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Tom Trento can be reached at 561-319-5533 or Tom at TrentoVision.tv. And tune in again weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
iHeartRadio gives you the music you want wherever you go. For example, let's see what's going on this station you're listening to now. Ha! That's me! Wherever you go, iHeartRadio. Download the free app in your phone's app store or go to iHeartRadio.com.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Aw, you know kids will be kids.
Oh, I don't know why they're trying to make a big deal of it. It's just a harmless rite of passage.
It's just a stage. All kids face some bullying. They'll get over it.
That girl, she just brings it on herself. I don't feel bad for her at all.
It's just a stage. Why they're trying to make a big deal of it. It's just a harmless.
When it comes to bullying, don't validate, eliminate. Adults have the power to stop bullying in our schools. I'm Dennis Van Rokel, president of the National Education Association. It's up to us as educators, as parents, as adults, to stand up on behalf of bullied kids. It's caring adults that can stop bullying, fix it, and prevent it. Help us create safe, bully-free learning environments for all students. One caring adult can make all the difference. Be that adult and take the pledge at NEA.org/bully-free. That's NEA.org/bully-free.
A message from the National Education Association.
In the wake of a disaster, what one thing can you send that will help people the most? A blanket, a tent, a sterile bandage, a sandbag, a doctor, a sheet of plywood, a shovel, a bulldozer, a stethoscope, a cement mixer, an oxygen tank, a bed, a house. Actually, if you send a monetary donation, you send all these things. Even a small donation can make a big impact. It can quickly become exactly what people affected by disaster need most: food, medical services, shelter, and other essential supplies. It can help improve the immediate distress and over time becomes a crucial tool in rebuilding schools, hospitals, and homes and getting local businesses back on their feet. A monetary donation is an easy and effective way you can help.
Want to help those affected by Hurricane Sandy? To donate, visit sandy.adcouncil.org. That's sandy.adcouncil.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
This is Health and Wealth Radio, AM 1470, WWNN Pompano Beach, and WKIS HD3, Boca Raton, Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to Trento Vision, where bad ideas get pulverized and the truth will set you free. Trento Vision is hosted by Tom Trento. Tom can be reached at 561-319-5533 or Tom at TrentoVision.tv. Listen and watch every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. on AM 1470 WNN and TrentoVision.tv. Now, let's get a peek at Tom's view of the world. Here's Tom Trento.
All right, it's 5 o'clock, top of the hour. We're coming back a little early on TrentoVision.tv on WNN 1470. It's a tragic day today. For those of you just getting in your cars, joining with us, you may have heard there was a massacre, a shooting in Newtown, Connecticut, 65 miles northeast of New York City. A 20-year-old Adam Lanza walked into a classroom, killed 20 students between 5 years old and 10 years old. Yes, 5 years old and 10 years old. Killed the teacher. The teacher was his mother. Adam, earlier in the day, killed his father, Nicholas Lanza. Killed his mother, the teacher, Nancy Lanza. We're going right now to a live press conference out of Newtown, Connecticut. Listen in.
That's part of the process, and that's why it took us long to get here. It's a very good question. Are there any students that were unaccounted for? We had to ensure that we accounted for every single student in that school, and that includes maybe someone that was absent for the day because of illness and didn't come to school. So that was part of the process that we had to go through. And now we have the identification process, which is even more difficult. And so it's going to be some time before we're able to give you that information. It probably won't be available until sometime tomorrow.
I don't see the picture.
Did we identify a weapon? We have seized the weapon. Yes, we have, sir.
I hear it, but I don't see the picture.
I don't have the photo up there.
No, press conference.
Yeah.
We've been in contact with all the parents. We would not come up here until we've been in contact with all the parents.
Ugh.
And we've been communicating with them since they arrived here at the scene. They've been fully informed, and that's why it took so long for us to come up here. Go ahead.
What about them? What's his plan?
Press conference is being led by the lieutenant of the Connecticut State Police.
Believes that it's something that first responders do, that law enforcement does. But I can tell you, we've provided counseling for the first responders because this was a very tragic, horrific scene that they encountered. It's not something that we want to see. It's not something that we see every day. So that's one thing that we have done, and the colonel has made that perfectly clear that those people are to be spoken to and receive crisis counseling as required.
It's already dark in Connecticut.
The lieutenant
Very
can
dark.
certainly tell you he's a Newtown officer. Sure.
Are you framing it, Mike?
Should be on there, right?
As a person, the first thing I thought about was my own children.
Oh, that's weird.
Fuck right in here. Go ahead. Lieutenant George Cinco. Lieutenant George Cinco, S-I-N-K-O. Yes. This is most definitely the worst thing that we've had experience here in town. Tragic. But right now, we're concerned about the families of the victims. Our officers are professional, and we will deal with this as well.
Can you describe the scene with the parents? Is there a place where people are getting together and have a counselor there for them? What's happening?
The local hospital, Danbury Hospital, has offered their crisis intervention counselors. They will be available at Reed Intermediate School, which is on Wasserman Way, and they're available right now if need be, and they will be there all weekend.
Is there a place where parents are gathering? I mean, and what's that scene? Describe that.
The parents certainly have gathered at the local firehouse, which is adjacent to the school, and we've done our best to comfort them and try to reassure them that we've done everything we can. But as mentioned, it's a difficult process to confirm the status of an entire elementary school, and we need to be right when we do that. It's healing. We just have to think about the families right now and do everything we can for them. We can't confirm any of that right now. The investigation is ongoing. There are still parents there, yes. I don't have a number for you. I don't have a number for you.
When did you realize you got what's the name? How long did it take you to
Minutes after our officers were there, they realized, what a horrific scene we had there.
I'll comment on this second. Sure.
Thanks.
Put you on the wireless.
Okay.
I don't have the exact timeline on that. Certainly, our officers responded immediately.
All right, what we're
As
watching
they realized what they had, we obviously
and
had
listening
all the
to.
resources we could get.
Just bring it down a little, Mike, while I. is a. I think it's over now.
Yeah.
We're monitoring a live press conference in. Did they say they were at the Danbury Hospital?
Every so often, what we learned in that briefing just moments ago was that all.
Yeah. What we just watched was the hourly update press conference, and you're going to see these through the night. You're going to see these for the next several days, and it is 6 minutes past 5. Many Floridians are jumping into their automobiles, heading home from work.
Yep.
On the radio side, WNN 1470, and many Floridians in our listening audience from Miami to Orlando are packing their bags with their families and heading to Disney for the week and all the attractions up there, SeaWorld and all the other 30 different, or maybe they're going to Key West. But you may or may not have heard of the massacre today, the killing, the tragedy. That's unimaginable. The more we report on it today, the more horrendous the essence of this is.
On your neck.
But if you haven't heard, or if you haven't gotten some of the particulars, some of the dreadful and frightening detail, we'll provide it. Well, why would we provide it? It's in the being a human being.
Yeah.
There's a connection. All human beings are connected as human beings. Being an American, there's a unique connection. Being part of this pack that we've agreed to follow. And then just being common sense, sane people that like to love our families and be productive on these various levels. When we see an event like this take place on our homeland and not far from here, it just cuts very, very deeply into our soul. So we think here at Trento Vision, it's important to understand what's going on. And there's application, and one of the questions we asked last hour was, how could a killer, 20-year-old killer, walk into a classroom, kill 18 children immediately between the ages of 5 and 10, using 2 handguns and a rifle? He had those with him. We don't know what sequence. Wounding 2 others that eventually died in a hospital. 20 children killed, 6 adults killed. The shooter also killed the teacher in one of the classrooms, who was his mother. Killer went to the school to kill his mother and as many students as he could. Previously in the day, earlier, he killed his father. So we have a 20-year-old, Adam Lanza, killed his father, drove, had to start his car up, put it in gear, go down the street, make a turn, stop at a light, pull into a driveway, collect the guns, walk into the classroom, shoot his mother, shoot 20 kids, kill them, shoot 6 adults, then killed himself. And we asked the question earlier, question that many people in Newtown are asking, particularly at this time of Hanukkah and Christmas. How could a good God allow such a horrendous, unimaginable evil? If you have any thoughts that could be helpful to anyone like Rochelle, who called earlier, who was broken up, if you have any soothing words or any words of wisdom that could be helpful, 888-565-1470, or if you have any thoughts about this whole issue, if you want to weigh in. Mark.
I have to look at this in a more macro level, and also bring it back home here to Fort Lauderdale and to Boca Raton and this area. We just had 2 people arrested who are planning on weapons of mass destruction. You think about that. Think of this scenario that you're seeing play out in Connecticut on a massive scale.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the FBI caught these people before they launched their weapons of mass destruction in December, just before Christmas. And I just want your thoughts on that. What do you think about that, Tom?
Yeah, it's a very good point. We had 9/11, which was a first time that American aircraft were used as weapons of mass destruction. We saw the devastation, the human devastation that followed. And, you raised the point with the two Quasi brothers. We were in their trial, their arraignment, just about a week ago today. So a week ago today. And quite possibly the plans were for a Christmas attack.
Imagine this, that they go to, this is not far outreach the realm of possibility. They go to Disney World, with all the kids running around there, all the tourists, everybody, and they launch a massive, massive dirty bomb. Because we don't know what it is, or just a massive bomb itself.
I think what's instructive for our listening and viewing audience, and for those of you maybe just tuning in, like, who are these guys? Our show's Trento Vision. We're on 3 to 6 every day. We're not doing any commercials today or talking about anything else. We're sticking with this tragedy. It's that critically important. Our work on national security is to do whatever we can so that these mass tragedies, these mass killings by Islamic jihadists doesn't occur in the United States. We stop it. Well, what's instructive today is the emotional horror we see of the end result of what Islamic jihadis want to do. In our intelligence work, we have learned from the intelligence community that one of the operations, it's called the Perfect Day, one of the operations in the playbook of Al-Qaeda is to simultaneously in about 10 cities do exactly what this kid did today in a little elementary school. So when I first saw that, I'm going, is this anything jihad related? It's got the fingerprints of that, but as of right now, this has nothing to do. This massacre in Newtown, I want to be very clear about this, has nothing to do with jihad, particularly what's called the Perfect Day. But I'm curious to see if there was any material that's going to be found that talks about if you want to inflict tremendous psychological damage on people, go kill their children. If he has anything like that.
That's where I was going with this. Is I know they have plans to capture school buses and to blow them up as they're going to school. I know that's definitely one of the plans on the table. And this is and the point of terrorism is to make you feel exactly what you're feeling right now, but on a massive scale, to make you succumb to their will. Now, we can take this and learn something from it.
I think so. Absolutely.
And I think that the lesson is, and that's the reason we exist, Tom, is to prevent these types of things from happening.
Absolutely. From the jihadis. On this end, I heard some, CJ, I don't think you were here for the report, but, the law enforcement has a trauma unit for psychological counseling for the parents and all of that. They had to treat the first responders who walked into the room, and I don't even want to sketch out in great detail the scene, but there were 20 bodies on the ground. Well, hang on.
I'm setting up the first responder's attitude.
Well, hang on one second. I don't even want to really sketch out in graphic detail, but just imagine you run through the door and there's 18, 20 children. They're not all dead. There's screaming, there's yelling, there's blood, it's just a mess, and you have to go child to child to child to do your quick triage evaluation and all of that, and then you have to go have a cup of coffee and go home. As a first responder, you're not a robot.
And these are New York City first responders who this is all they do. They're trained. They're highly trained specialists, and I've been up in Connecticut and know exactly who these first responders are. I mean, a lot of them are volunteers. They're not 100% full time, but they're trained, but they're not.
They're not hardened. They're not.
They haven't
guys.
been into the battles 100 times, like the New York City firefighters have been, or anything like that. I mean, yeah, they dealt with the recent hurricane, but to see 20 kids
it's unimaginable.
I mean,
and along these lines, particularly if they're volunteers in this little town, this is their last. For some of them, they're going to go, this is it. This isn't for me. And it'd be very difficult. It'd be unbelievably difficult. Now, the forensic teams have to go in there, and they have to leave the crime scene the way it is and rebuild everything.
Right.
And a lot of the crime scene people, they're going to bring in FBI crime scene people.
Right.
They're not going to bring in local people because it's too crazy and too traumatic.
Right.
And I got an answer for you about where was God.
Yeah.
It's you're going to hear a lot of these personal heroic stories come out. Like the teacher who took the kids, put them in a room, and saved people. A lot of those personal heroic stories are going to come out, and that's where you see God at.
Yeah. I think we have a caller, CJ.
Yeah, let's hear from Cindy. We have Cindy on the line.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Cindy. How you doing today?
My heart was so heavy, and it just breaks my heart. But the question is, where was God? He's where he always is. He's everywhere. Evil, unfortunately, is in this world, and in this world we're going to see trials and tribulations and people who, for their own illness or anger issues or are acting out, and unfortunately to kill his mother. It really, really breaks my heart. Then to go and kill little innocent children, and the Bible says, woe be unto those who shed innocent blood. I know this young man killed himself as well. All I can say is this, just like I go and I think sometimes about Hitler, he was Jewish, and here he kills a group of people that are supposedly his own because of anger issues that he didn't deal with. And that's not to make an excuse for this young man, but there had to be some signs along the way. But God is still on his throne. God is still ruling and reigning. God is still the I am, and he is there and here now to comfort these parents who've lost their precious little babies. I lost my own son, so I know the grief of that, especially coming on the holidays. God's been in their lives. No, this was not God's plan for these children or for this to transpire. Satan is real, and people need to wake up to the evil. The devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy, and this is what he does. Where was God? He's here. He's still there. He's waiting for them. I believe he's exported those precious children in his arms. I'm so sorry that this transpired, especially at a holiday time, and I don't know. My heart hurts for his brother, who is alive now without a brother, a mother, and a father, and to know that his family member has done such a hideous act. Whether he is part of this or not, I don't know, but all I know is I'm going to be praying for him and for these families that are grieving and hurting, and you don't expect to send your children to school, supposedly in a safe little community, and then get a phone call that they're no longer here on earth. I don't want to make anybody cry. I just want to say that God is still on the throne. He still is who he is. It doesn't change who God is. It just shows the evilness that perpetuates in this world, and that we have to pray harder. We have to reach out to other people before they get to this point. We've got to start waking up and start praying for our neighbors and reaching out so this never happens again. We as a Christian people, as a people, have got to do better to be examples of who Christ is. We have to. We have come short because somehow this was overlooked, and I know it just didn't happen on a spur of the moment, to kill your own mother and father and then precious little ones that have nothing to do with your issues. It is heart-wrenching. Somewhere, something must have been seen, and it was just blown off as, oh, well, he's just having a bad day. We have got to be more aware. We've got to look for those hurting people. We've got to speak into their life. We've got to become bold witnesses, and we've got to be vessels of love. It's imperative. It's just imperative, because this is just a foretaste of what's on the horizon if we, the body of Christ, don't rise up to be the body of Christ. That's all I really want to say.
Oh, my gosh.
Praying for these parents, you know. I'll be praying for the precious, well, sitting in that have to face a day without family.
Yeah, thank you very, very much for calling and you're sharing your thoughts, Cindy. You're
welcome.
Where are you calling from, Cindy? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Boca.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate
And I'm praying for you as well. I know it's heart-wrenching.
Yeah, this is not our typical show, and not an easy show to do. That's for sure.
No, God bless you in your endeavors.
Thank you very
God
much.
is still on the throne. He's still
Amen.
there and he's alive and well.
Amen. Take care. Thank you very much. Cindy out of Boca Raton sharing her thoughts, and
maybe something you said or something that we did or something that our collective efforts did with Team B2 and with the Sharia, the threat to America, helped catch the Quasi brothers and stop them from happening. So we are doing something. We have to keep ourselves informed. So we have to look at it that way. We don't know if any of the information that we provide or the Team B2 or anybody else in this movement helped catch these people. But this is what we're trying to prevent.
It's bizarre. Go ahead.
I think it's much more than that, and I know that it is for the activists who we work with all the time, who really are people of faith for the most part, and they know that we have two jobs to do. We have our day job as as activists and looking out for the bad guys and identifying real evil and trying to stop it from taking over our country and our lives. But we know that as individuals, we have to live our lives in such a way, getting back to what Cindy said, we have to look for those hurting people. We have to conduct ourselves in our daily lives in a way that attracts good. And we believe in that, and we live like that, and through our own conduct that way, we are spreading a message that is really more important and more immediate than what our actual work is, I think.
No, that's a very important point, and in a bizarre way, but this is what we do. In a bizarre way, and this is for the audience listening and watching, who know our work with fighting the Islamic Jihad issue, fighting the Muslim Brotherhood, trying to wake America up to what Mark has been talking about, the use of terror, either in weapons of mass destruction or in this pinpoint plans that our intelligence agencies have found of what's called a perfect day, doing this on 10 or 15 different schools at the same time at the same day. The bizarre element for today with the people we deal with is they are watching this. The jihadis who want to kill us, they're watching this.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Look how vulnerable they are.
And they're going, oh my God,
Yeah.
Look,
this is what we got to do.
Yeah.
Look, we found a soft underbelly.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you talk about a copycat killers of copycat killers.
No, they want to. What they would do is they would do something like hit a dozen shopping centers at the same time across the country.
Well, they did that.
Or
What Tom's
they-
point is,
yeah.
all right, they saw the shopping center thing that had an effect.
Yeah.
They saw
the movie theater
they saw
in
the movie-
Colorado.
that had an effect.
Yeah.
But now they're watching this and they're going, "Oh my
Yeah.
God, this is the honeypot
This is
here.
it.
Yeah.
This is the honeypot here."
Yeah.
If I were the DNI, Director of National Intelligence, who's that? Clapper now, right, Mr. Clapper?
Still, yeah.
If I were he, I would have an alert out right now through all the agencies, the Bureau, the JTTF, DEA, everybody, saying, get your SIGNET up, get your signals intelligence up. Start listening for chatter, for schools, for malls, Christmas time, all of that, because this would be the time to strike from the bad guy's point of view, and
what
Or
a
this
soft
is the
underbelly-
model that you want to follow.
And look what a soft underbelly target this is. I mean, come on, all right. Hey, we can go into schools. They don't even allow guns in the schools. It's a gun-free zone. Look what we can do there.
Now we got to make this clear for the audience because they're going, "What are you guys talking about?" What we're talking about is we work in the national security sector. Our work for many years, and the people we work with, has been to identify the threat of Islamic Jihad, Sharia-compliant Islam. That's what we talk about. To look at the Muslim Brotherhood, their operations in the United States of America, and to analyze, to investigate, to deter on the private side, using whatever resources we have legally to try to find the bad guys and keep them from hurting people. Well, we know for a fact that what has occurred in Newtown, Connecticut, the exact scenario has already been for many, many years on the lists of operations to employ in the United States at a particular time.
Yeah.
So all we're saying today is, for the sake of every American out there,
Yeah.
that the bad guys who are celebrating the death of
Yeah.
the infidel kids right now, fewer Americans. This sort of stuff has a way, it serves as a catalyst, and it's not inconceivable. And our work is to connect the dots.
Yeah.
It's not inconceivable to say, why don't we do 2 or 3 of these
Yeah.
at Christmas time,
Yeah.
at malls or at a school,
Yeah.
and we go out in our holy jihad and we become martyrs and we advance the
Well,
cause
they
of
already
Islam.
did this in Israel.
Yeah.
They've been doing it in Israel.
Yep.
They were doing it in the 70s. What were they doing? They were kidnapping Israeli school children on school buses. That was the PLO.
What is it about? What is it
and-
about children? I mean, why? We're talking about 26, 27, 28 people dead today. Take the shooter out. 27. There's 7 adults, 6 people at the school, and the father. We're not even talking about them. I mean, the focus is on 20 kids.
Yeah.
Why? Why is it so?
They're
why?
innocent. I mean, they're completely innocent. I mean, that's the nutshell. I mean, they don't hate. You know, they're. I mean, it's like. You know, it's unconditional love in a way. When you look at them, you look at a purity, you look at an innocence, you look at it just something that has no political views. They have no hate-filled views. There's you know, that's when you're not. That's exactly when you're not supposed to have to worry about these things.
Right.
And that's
And there's and the defenselessness aspect of it,
Right.
versus the adults who consciously make the decision to run into the room and try to save the children. They know what they're doing.
And what are the kids talking
They know
about
what
when
they're doing.
And what are the kids talking about when they're in that room?
But the kids don't. I don't want to die. I just want to have Christmas.
And that's their response.
That's what a 6-year-old. That's what you want to hear a 6-year-old say.
You know, I don't want to die. I want to have Christmas. I want to have Hanukkah. It's like, you know. I mean, how evil
do you
ha-
not focus
I mean,
on that?
And if you want to look at what pure evil is how can you? I mean, most people, if they see something like that, they're diving in front of the gun to save the child. I mean, they're taking
That's what
bullets.
I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All right, let me kind of bring this thing around. I'm Tom Trento on Trento Vision, your host. With me is CJ. Hello.
Hi.
Mark is down there, the disembodied voice. Silent Mike is over here. You finding anything, Mike?
No, it's kind of running dry after that. Everyone's reporting the same.
Everybody's reporting it's the exact, I keep getting the exact same paragraph in 17 different outlets.
Yeah. Now the analysis will happen, but we have a show, Trento Vision, that deals with national security issues. Those of you who have been following us on Trento Vision TV or on the radio, WNN 1470. And we had a whole bunch of things scheduled for you today. We were going to take a look at...
we will not be doing this today.
We will not be doing all of that.
Yeah.
I have a perfect argument for these knuckleheads are going to come out and start saying, take away the guns.
Yeah,
and
well,
all
they're
that.
not going to come out.
Well, he goes, hey, you know what? I got an idea. Let's go over to the Middle East, into Gaza, and take away their guns and have gun control laws in Gaza and see what happens. And then we have gun controls also in Israel. Is that going to stop the problem over there? It makes no sense.
Having laws, you mean having laws?
Having laws or banning this or banning that. Yeah, we can ban all the guns we want to, but do you think that's going to stop the Hamas of the Middle East getting guns?
What we were going to do, we had, and we'll do some of this on Monday for sure. We had Sharia Islam, not for human consumption. We were going to look at Egypt, Syria, and Gaza, and show how Islamic doctrine, stuff we were talking about yesterday, when fully applied, leads to absolute chaos, particularly the Sharia component. And you talk about deaths, the death and destruction of tens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
We're going to make that connection, and we're going to watch very carefully the vote in Egypt tomorrow.
Yeah.
What's going on in Egypt?
The referendum on the Constitution for Sharia.
Yep, the country votes tomorrow. The whole country, everybody goes out, though they did break it into two parts, so I think they're breaking it down geographically. So whereas the whole country was voting tomorrow, I think there's 56 million people eligible to vote. Where they were all going to vote tomorrow, now it's tomorrow and next Saturday, the 22nd. So, but we'll learn a lot. On Monday morning, we'll have a lot of information. Alexandria, Egypt, the historic town of Alexandria with a great library.
The great library,
it kills me.
I know.
What happened to the library, Mark?
Burn, baby, burn.
The world of knowledge at that time was all collected on scrolls. Everything, and it's burnt, all burnt.
Who
down.
burnt it?
Don't even get me started on this whole thing.
The Muslims burnt all the books because you don't need any book but Islam.
Yeah.
Alexandria right now is in flames. They are fighting, slashing each other's throats. Those who want Sharia, those who do not want Sharia. So we will, on Monday, we're going to try to bring Cynthia Farahat back to have her comment on what took place tomorrow. And we're going to look at Syria. Syria right now, there is no good answer. And whatever occurs, and Russia just basically conceded that Bashar Assad is going to fall. So it looks like the Muslim Brotherhood owns another piece of dirt around Israel. And Gaza is rearming, and Khalid Marshal, the head of the Hamas, who is from Qatar or Qatar? Qatar. He's been exiled in Qatar. He came back to Gaza, and Mahmoud Abbas of the PA, Palestinian Authority, had a rally when he came back from the United Nations a couple of weeks ago. He had between 5,000 and 10,000 people there, and he was praising the fact that now they're a state and all of this. And Khalid Marshal comes back from exile in Qatar and Qatar, and there were hundreds of thousands of people turn out for his welcome home speech. And he basically says, and Mahmoud Abbas at the PA over in the West Bank, Judea, Samaria, said, now we have more power to work with Israel to establish a two-state solution. And the next day, Khalid Moshal, the head of the Hamas, says, now we will eradicate Israel, the Jews from Palestine, from the river to the sea. So he comes home after Israel destroyed part of the infrastructure, and they are all ready to go to war again.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna bring you all that information, and that's very relevant to what we do here, obviously. We also had for you today the Muslim Public Affairs Council. They are having their conference, their annual Muslim Public Affairs Council. It would be like the Ku Klux Klan having a national conference. The Muslim Public Affairs Council, analogous to the KKK, is having theirs in a Christian church in Pasadena, California. First time ever. This is a significant milestone, key term in Islam, significant milestone in the Islamization of the United States of America. These little milestones are what needs to be seen. We have a team of people, about 8 or 10 people in there, the United West team. We were going to have a report on that today, but we'll have a report on the events and what occurred on Monday.
On Monday, yeah.
And then we were going to have Susie Rice and Benghazi Beans. We were going to talk about Susan Rice and the decision to step down from consideration, being Secretary of State. I think what really happened, I think John Kerry paid her a visit at night and smacked her around a little bit.
Oh yeah, that happened.
Yeah, I think he said,
Gosh,
I'm going to be the Secretary of State.
No,
I think that's what he said.
Yeah.
She could probably kick
where
his
does
butt.
Chuck Hagel fit into all this?
Yeah, the Secretary of Defense, that's not a good move, but President Obama likes him. We'll get back on track with all of that, but there are moments in history, and this is an infamous moment. Have you found a larger mass killing of children anywhere in the United States ever?
I think it was 1966 was the last major.
What was it?
I don't know. Children.
Children, yeah.
No, children. I'm looking for children. There was nothing rivals this for children.
No, not for kindergarten children.
Not for young children. I mean, there were
there's
the 32 students at Virginia Tech.
Yeah, but that doesn't have the same.
That doesn't. I mean, that's
somehow
that's
this is
really
like
bad.
Tom said, this is like a whole nother paradigm, a whole nother level.
This is,
and like you said, Tom, this is what scares me. The bad guys are looking at this and going, "No, we found a soft weak spot with these guys."
Thought, yep.
Yeah.
This is better than we thought.
Yeah.
So in any event, that's what we were going to do, folks. But it is critically important, 39 minutes after 5, for us to travel with you as you're driving or as you're sitting home, particularly those of you driving right now, to keep you updated. And if you're just jumping in the car, briefly, there was a shooting that started at 9:41 this morning, East Coast time, in a little boutique, sleepy kind of town that everybody wants to live in. 27,000 residents, Newtown, Connecticut, 65 miles northeast of New York City, 1,200 miles or so north of where we are right now. But the same sort of people that drive their kids to school here every day and hug them and kiss them and then pick them up are the same sort of people up there. Americans that brought their kids to school, and 20
I'm
of those.
glad the mothers called us today.
Yes.
Because it was obvious. It was obvious that it was mothers calling us today.
And 20 of the children that were dropped off at the Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut, were not picked up by their parents. They were picked up by first responders. Actually, 2 were taken to the hospital. The 18 that were killed in the classroom by one 20-year-old shooter, Adam Lanza, who also killed his mother, who was the teacher, who also previously in the day killed his father at home, I believe in Hoboken, New Jersey. those 18 dead children, ages 5 to 10, most likely are still lying on the floor of that classroom as the forensic teams have to come in.
Come in and reconstruct everything.
And as Mark said, his family is from that area of the country, and most possibly many of the first responders, the immediate ones from Newtown, are volunteers. And if they're not volunteers, they respond to automobile accidents and cats on telephone poles, and not many.
Yeah, nothing of this magnitude.
Not many first responders anywhere other than New York City, Chicago, the large urban areas, see dead children in any manner, and you're never immune from being impacted, but you do get hardened to a degree. But the lieutenant of the Connecticut State Police, giving a briefing, said that after the first responders went in, the first ones in, that's why they're the first responders, and they saw the carnage of these 20 kids laying on the floor and had to treat them, they needed counseling, on-site counseling. And you can just imagine, a 30-year-old father of two little kids, fireman runs in there, and quite possibly, I mean, this thing gets even more bizarre because it's such a tiny town, that the first responders knew the families of the kids that they're responding to. Imagine that. So right now the facts are that Nancy Lanza, Lanza, is dead. She was a school teacher. Nicholas Lanza, the father. Peter. Who's Nicholas?
A name you just made up.
Oh, no, was it? Oh, it's a middle name N, right?
No,
middle
J.
initial? J. Where do I get Nicholas from?
You're thinking Christmas.
Saint Nicholas.
Saint Nick.
Mario Lanza. No. Peter Lanza is dead, shot at home. This is very bizarre because it's going to be very interesting to see how Peter, the father, was shot. Whether there was a fight, maybe the fight initiated the whole explosion. Whether he was assassinated, the guy comes in through the back door or something. And again, all this is going to be known because Ryan Lanza, 24 years old, is in police custody being interviewed. Not a suspect at this point?
Not a suspect.
Not a suspect.
Not a person of interest?
Not a person of interest.
They're saying he's not a person of interest.
Yeah.
All right, well, that, as I said earlier, that
could be anything.
Yeah, that could be anything.
You remember?
But
do you remember this high school shooting in Oregon, also in the late '90s?
No.
I think it was the late '90s. Yeah, 1998. Kip Kinkle. He shot his mother before he went to the school. He shot his mother at home before he went to the school and shot his classmates.
Well,
and he wasn't a good shot. He killed two students and wounded
what
30
ages?
others.
Like
Teenagers, high school.
Oh, high school.
Yeah,
okay,
he was like 15 or something.
I don't know if
like
I remember
that.
that one. What were you going to say, Mark?
Well, can you imagine? I mean, I know this is horrible. This is tremendously horrific. But can you imagine if one day you wake up and there's 10 of these schools and 1,000 hostages are held, and then the next few days there's 355 people killed and 186 children killed?
What are you, nuts? That's a crazy idea.
Yeah.
Oh,
Except
I'm
for
sorry.
that it happened.
Except that it happened. That was Beslan, Russia, by jihadists 8 years ago.
Yep.
I mean, so what I'm saying, what we say here, we're not just making it up and dreaming about this stuff and saying, oh, what possible crazy scenario can actually happen. I'm just saying what you're feeling right now, what you're seeing right now is there's a lesson here. And the lesson is
that some of these can be prevented.
Some of these can be prevented. And this is one that can definitely be prevented. And we don't want to have 35 killed and 186 children in body bags.
That's what it was in Beslan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mike, is there, check to see if they're having their hourly press conference. It's usually right around now. If they do, we'll bring you a little bit of the press conference. It's 5:45 on the East Coast. And as I said, the shooter has been identified as Adam Lanza, 20 years old. Screams, I'm reading some new information here. Screams went over the intercom. Let's check that out for a second. The first that some pupils heard of the mass shootings Friday at their Connecticut elementary school, which is Sandy Hook Elementary School, was when screams started coming over the intercom system, according to accounts from the scene. Can you imagine that? You know what that means? That means the teacher ran for the intercom button, or one of the kids. The kids are probably the kids are probably too small, 5 years old, 10 years old. If it was the older ones, and maybe they've been instructed, if there's ever a problem, call on the intercom. This is a classroom intercom.
Mm-hmm.
So as the shooting was going on and there was screaming, somebody ran and engaged the intercom, and it went over the intercom, probably to the office. I don't know if it went broadcast to the whole school, but can you imagine?
Well, I saw
that?
one report that the principal and the vice principal were killed like right away.
Yeah, you're, like I said, you're going to hear more and more personal, just heroic. I mean, just like happened in 9/11, Flight 93.
Yep.
You're going to hear more and more what Americans are.
Yep. You said the principal, I haven't heard this yet, the principal and vice principal were killed immediately?
Yeah, like first. But, I mean, that...
Yeah, it's fog. It's fog.
It's fog,
but,
so I
but,
don't know.
but one of the, as we're starting to wind down for our show here today.
Yeah, I've been looking, for another, mass shooting like this, and there was, in October of 2006, the milk truck driver who tied up and shot the 10 Amish schoolgirls in their classroom. And they were aged 6 to 14. That's the closest I come.
What year was that?
That was 2006.
So that's 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if I remember that. Life goes on, and we go on. But you know what? For those families of the Amish kids, they'll never forget that date. It's been impacted. These kinds of situations that occur around holidays.
Yeah.
It will be, if ever, it will be many years before the family of these little kids that were killed can ever see Christmas in any positive manner. It's going to be very difficult. And we raised the question earlier. And if you want to weigh in, we got a few minutes left. 888-565-1470. We raised the question.
Here's a little quick update here. They just flashed this on here, 452. Neighbors described Adam Lanza at the ABC as odd and displaying characteristics associated with mental illness.
When was that?
At 4:52 p.m. We just got an update from.
No, I mean when did they?
They just said the neighbors describe Adam Lanza to ABC.
Generally, not just today, but generally.
Right, in general.
ABC. What do you mean ABC?
News.
Oh, ABC News. So he had a mental problem of some sort. That's what Cindy, I think, was referring to, that we need to. But 888-565-1470. We raised the question earlier, where Hanukkah is a celebration of the miracle of God, the provision of oil, perfect oil, and then the sustenance over 8 days. And Christmas is the celebration of the birth of the Christian Messiah. Both of these events bespeak of a live, vital, providential, omniscient God. Okay, where was he today? He certainly doesn't seem to have anything to do with Newtown, Connecticut, and many people will be asking that question in the days ahead, and not just atheists or people that agnostics. You know, where's your good God on a day like this? Serious believers, Jewish, Christian believers, are going to be wondering how a good, holy God can allow such an evil act.
I think we do have a caller. Yep, we have Eddie on the
Eddie,
line.
Eddie, we got a couple of minutes left. Eddie, how are you? Where are you calling from?
City.
What city? I'm sorry, I missed you. What city?
Cooper City.
Oh, Cooper City. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Eddie?
Well, the question about how God could let this happen, first of all, most people don't understand Scripture. Psalms 115, it says that the heavens are the Lord's, but the earth He's handed over to men. This is not God's fault.
Yeah.
I think we really neglected the mental illness people that are in this country. We really let them down. Really have. There's no place for them to go. They're living in the streets. We basically just medicated people with drugs, and it's just a shame. If we're going to have health care in this country, I think that needs to be a priority, is to deal with the mental illness of people that are in this country.
Hey, Eddie, do you have any kids?
I've got 2 stepsons, and one actually suffers from mental illness, and there's been no help for him in the natural, as far as I can see in this country with doctors. It's been a real tragedy that there's no place for people that have this kind of illness. They end up in the streets. They throw them out in the streets.
What words would you have someone, a father who, you know, has a kid who's troubled, and has other stepkids and has some sensitivity to what's going on? What words would you like to share with those parents who experience this devastating loss?
Words can't even express the sorrow that I feel in my heart. And my words to them would be to draw to the only one who can ever comfort their grieving time, and to know that nothing happens without a reason and God coming through in their lives. And this country, we're praying for them.
All right, Eddie, we thank you very much, and
thank you, Eddie.
Those words will travel to those folks for sure. Have a wonderful weekend.
Take care of yourself and your family.
Thank you. You too. God bless you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Well, we have hosts crying, guests crying, and everybody crying today. Oh, God, you know, so.
It's okay to cry once in a while, that's for sure. All right, guys, we got about a minute or two left. Your concluding thoughts? CJ, Mark, Mike.
No.
I guess my overall concluding thought is, as heartbreaking as all this is, it's just could be a little bit of a wake-up call for some people. That's my message here, and my heart goes out to all those families up there.
Nothing? Yeah, there's not much to say on a day like this. I mean, we've said it all, and I think the question we threw out, where is God? The people that called in to answer it, I think they answered it fairly well. You know,
But what does that tell us about what we're doing? That out of everybody, out of every question we've ever asked, out of every call we've ever taken, that's the call that they wanted to make.
Yeah.
That's the question that they wanted to answer more than anything.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
All right. In any event, we thank all of you for staying with us on the TV side and on the radio side. It's been a difficult day for your crew here, Tom, Mark, Mike, and CJ, but not nearly as difficult as the poor people in Newtown, Connecticut. Please pray for them and hug your kids and kiss them a little more tonight. We'll see you on Monday.